Hi everyone. Today we're going to be talking about searching newspapers and media resources for an upcoming assignment of yours. I'm really sorry I couldn't be here in person today, but I think this video will probably suffice, and you can watch it as many times as you want. I'm anticipating getting millions of views, and it'll all come from you. So hopefully this will be helpful. I'll have my contact information and all of that jazz up on my final slide, so you know how to get at me. So here's a brief rundown of what we're going to be talking about today. So our first section will be on accessing the Globe and Mail and New York Times historical newspapers through Laurentian University. We have a huge collection of historical newspapers for you to get at, and the Globe and Mail has recently improved its interface, so you'll actually find things that you're looking for instead of words that kind of look like the word that you're searching for, which is how it was before. The next section will be accessing popular media through Canadian periodicals indexed quarterly, as well as Canadian major newsstand major dailies. So that's a really great resource as well. For the last little bit, I'll talk about searching for obituaries and what to ask for and look for when you're actually at Barrie Public. And finally, we'll talk about citing newspaper and magazine articles using RefWorks, and I'll also show you a brief example of a newspaper entry that I've done myself. So step one is accessing the Globe and Mail and the New York Times historical newspapers through our database. And what's so great about newspapers is that they are extremely valuable primary resources for historical research. It's always very impressive, and it shows great scholarship when you actually use primary documents from the time that you're learning about. It shows us how people might have been reacting to a certain event or situation, as I'll be showing you later. It informs our perspective, our understanding, and alerts us to bias. It's amazing how a different publication might analyze or react to an event differently than another one might be. So if you're researching a conservative newspaper, just be aware of their political bias. It's really interesting. And finally, we'll talk about our historical newspapers. The Globe and Mail spans from 1844 to 2009, and the New York Times from 1851 to 2009. Okay, so to actually get to our databases for the newspapers, we're going to go to our favorite website, which is laurentian.ca/content/library, and then we're going to select databases and then multidisciplinary databases. I'll be showing you how to get around through the video as soon as I finish this slide. And then step 3, we're going to select the New York Times historical, because that is the default newspaper at this point. But to switch to the Globe and Mail, we're just going to click the yellow arrow next to searching one database at the top left of the search page, and then we're going to select Globe and Mail. So we're going to do that right now. So I already queued up the library website, which you've probably already been to, and now we're going to select our databases, which is right here in the left. So as quickly as we can, we're going to select multidisciplinary databases, which is right here. And it'll open up another window, and then we're going to look for New York Times historical. And we're going to log in with our information. If you don't have that yet, which I sincerely hope you do, you'll have to contact IT and they'll help you set up your account. So after it's verified my credentials, you'll see that it looks very familiar to a number of our other databases, and that's because it's hosted by ProQuest. I'm a huge fan of this. It's very easy to search. So we've got our basic search box here, and in this column it'll tell us where to search. So anywhere, which is probably where we're going to be focusing our attention, the abstract, the author, the text itself. And we have all these other options here, which you don't really need to worry about too much. And this is really great too, because you can actually select the document type that you'd like. And when you're searching newspapers, this means the different sections of the newspaper. So if we only want editorials, we can select that. Or if it's a major event, we can also select front page articles. And that's a great resource to have at your hands as well. Now, something I'd really like to point out to you is that you can sort the results by relevance, publication date, oldest first, or publication date, most recent first. And when you're actually analyzing the reaction to an event or some sort of social problem, it's kind of interesting to go from oldest to latest, just to see how opinions might have changed over weeks or months or years. So that's really exciting. So this is basically what it looks like, and I did a really interesting search on the DIEP RAID. And I put it in quotation marks so it knows to search for these words exactly in that order. And the DIEP RAID occurred in August of 1942. So let's start in August 1942. And we'll see how it just went up until December, at the end of the year. And now we're going to search. So we've got 86 results here, and we can see that at the beginning there were a lot of positive reactions, that it was a huge learning experience, and that the Canadian Army actually benefited from the experience at DIEP, which is quite interesting because later we learned that the DIEP RAID is seen as a huge military failure for Canadians. So this is just one of those instances when you're researching and you want to learn how an event has been demonstrated in the news. This is exactly how you can analyze it. Now what I did not do is switch to the Globe and Mail, as I should have. And that's okay, because we're going to search for it here. So just unclick New York Times, and we're going to select the Globe and Mail. It looks identical. Just make sure that you are aware that you need to change it up here, otherwise you might get a lot of American content, as I think I just did. So we're going to move back to the presentation. So just to recap, some extra tips are to sort your results, as I suggested, by oldest first. The document type is going to let us choose which part of the newspaper we want. And our date range is another helpful tool to analyze a single event, especially immediately after it happens. So next we're going to move on to accessing popular media via CPIQ and Canadian Newsstand Major Dailies. So the CPIQ is indexing nearly 1,200 popular and academic periodicals, and we have a huge coverage range of subjects relevant to culture, business, current events, all of that jazz. And a lot of it does have a Canadian focus, so that's really great if you're searching for a specifically Canadian event. Makes sense to use Canadian resources. So to access CPIQ, I demonstrated this in my last presentation, if you were there, and it's quite simple to get at as well. So we want laurentian.ca/content/library, then we want to select databases, then multidisciplinary databases. Then we want to locate the CPIQ as well as the Canadian Newsstand. That's how it's in our collection. That's how it's labeled. And as we can see here, it's also hosted by ProQuest, and it looks identical to the New York Times and the Globe and Mail newspapers. So it's very user-friendly, pretty simple to use. And as I showed you in my last presentation, this is what it's looking like. So we have our keywords here, which is where you're going to use your search terms. Unlike a lot of other databases, you don't really need to worry too much about subject guides, especially if an event is very current. That's what you're going to be searching for in your newest assignment. For example, the train disaster in Quebec. There's no subject heading for that yet. So if it's most recent, you can just don't worry about subjects. Just use keyword searches. So as you can see here, we can limit to documents with full text, peer-reviewed publications, and documents with images. So the next, another part of your assignment is searching the obituaries in the Barrie area newspapers. So Dr. Rudacek has left the URL to this website right in your syllabus, so you know where to find it. And this is exactly what it looks like. It's hosted by Barrie Public Library, and there's a search box right here, and that's obviously where you put in your search term. It's pretty straightforward. So I've chosen Duncan Fletcher McQuaig as my mayor. And this is what the search result looks like. This is great for genealogy, which is really popular right now for historians. I'm not sure how or why it got so hot, but it is. So if you are ever doing genealogy research, this is a great place to start tracing people. So as we can see here, we found the Barrie Examiner, and here's his death notice. So it appears in the Barrie Examiner on the 21st of August, 1950. So when I click on that, this is exactly what comes up. It's basically the record for the document. So if you're wondering where you go from here, it's basically a call number. And what you're looking for is the local identifier, which will be towards the top of the page, underneath the information from the newspaper. So what do you do with this now? These documents are unfortunately not online, so you can't get at them that way. However, you can look for these documents with the help of a librarian. They're really wonderful people. They know what they're doing. Don't stress yourself out about using the microfilm machine. They can help you. They've been down that road many times. Even though it's not the most fun thing, they're able to do it. And you'll need to look at the whole newspaper to find the actual article about the mayor. Dr. Rudacek put right in the syllabus that he doesn't want the short notice of death. He wants the actual article about the person. So if it's not written about the day that the death notice is posted, check a few days afterwards as well, and chances are somebody will have written about the event.